All right, guys, welcome back for our fifth and final round of Swiss. Before we cut to our top four, our top four players are locked this round. So this match actually is the bracket just below the top four. These guys are just playing for bragging rights at this point. Prizes are being paid to the top eight, so these guys are still playing for prizing. Whoever finishes 2-3 might miss still, because there could be a couple. There'll be a bunch of 2-3s in the middle that'll be paid out for the bottom four. But yeah, this will be the last round of Swiss. We're gonna have Dan, who we just saw last round. He is gonna be playing his Abzan deck, of course, still, and Mike, who we've seen a couple times today already. But people seem to like this deck the most from what I've seen. We have Eldrazi and Taxes, so. We'll bring up the full screen for this fifth and final round of Swiss for our modern GPT San Jose. All right, so Dan looking at his opening seven. I see the one of Anafenza again. I see there is an Inquisition. There's a Bob, or not a Bob, sorry, Tarmogoyf rather. One thing that Nicola did want me to point out, Mike is borrowing his Eldrazi and Taxes deck. He wanted to point out that one of the changes for his deck that he normally has in place, he actually minuses one of the Thalias and the one of Blade Splicer, and instead plays 2 Dark Confidants. So, a little extra card advantage. So, Inquisition... cast turn 1, Mike is looking at a hand of Aether Vial, Thought-Knot Seer, Gonti, Path to Exile, a second Thought-Knot Seer, a Caves of Coilus, and a Blade Splicer. And this is a pretty straightforward choice for Dan here. You snap off taking that Aether Vial, and you've basically stranded Mike from doing anything. This was a very risky keep. These players are friends. So they knew what each other were playing. So it's a little risky to keep a one-lander against a deck like Abzan. Yeah, no, the top four all ID'd this round. So Sebastian, Cody, Kyle, and Chris all drew. Yeah, Cody was fourth. Yeah, Mike was our fifth place player. However, because of the way the pairings lined up, no one got paired down. So Mike seemed to draw very well there. He drew a Ghost Quarter and then proceeded to draw an Aether Vial as well. So Dan's second Inquisition was forced to take a Path to Exile in this case. Could have taken a Blade Splicer, I guess, but took the Path instead. And then still just had his Aether Vial. So Dan, third land here, shocks in a Temple Garden. We're gonna see the Anafenza come down. Now, Mike did not have a second path, I don't believe. No. So he just passes the turn back after taking up Aether Vial and drawing a card. An attack for 4. And unfortunately for Mike, this Aether Vial is still 2 turns away from actually putting anything into play. Unless he draws a 2-drop here that he doesn't want to cast. So Tarmogoyf comes down. Right now, Sorcery, Instant, and Artifact, so it's a 3-4. Okay, that's a very good draw. He draws Temple. This lets him cast that Thought-Knot Seer. Dan says, yeah, sure, I got 2 lands. You don't get anything. Yeah, I do want to point out that our spotter, Martin, did call that draw. He typed to me that, Mike could draw Temple, and then sure enough, he drew Temple. Right on time. So Dan draws a Noble Hierarch, so another good draw, as this will allow Anafenza to attack through this Thought-Knot Seer if Dan wishes to do so. Which I think is a pretty good play. So I mean, you can make the Goyf a 4/5 with this attack. Sure. Okay. So he's offering Mike the ability to trade for Anafenza if he wants to. And Mike does want to. So down goes Anafenza. Thought-Knot is still exiled. Dan draws a card, and Goyf actually gets larger. So not a bad trade for Dan. The Goyf is now a 4/5 thanks to that creature going to the graveyard. Dan deciding what he wants to do, if anything, here post-combat. He's going to play a land. It's a Twilight Mire, and he's going to follow that up with a Noble Heart that he drew for the turn. He also has Lingering Souls to play here, which is another nice follow-up there. That came off of the Thought-Knot draw. Couple spirits coming down here and a pass of the turn. So Dan's firmly in control here of this game. We know that there is Gonti, another Thought-Knot, a Blade Splicer, and also Displacer. He also has drawn another Ghost Quarter for the turn. So there it is. Okay, so 4 mana, we're going to see a Thought-Knot come down again, I assume. Yep, there it is. He knows it's just a land. At least he should know that still. Yep. So Thought-Knot's not getting any value this game. Is it even worth playing Thought-Knot there? Probably not. I mean, it just dies to the Goyf if it tries to block. It can't block spirits, and if it does die, it just draws Dan a card. So I don't know if I even play Thought-Knot there when you know for sure there's just a land in Dan's hand. I think if I'm Dan, I also attack with everything here. I guess Displacer is a card still that he can bring into play with the Vial. Or the Blade Splicer. Yeah, he's going to go ahead and opt for the Blade Splicer. He would be able to kill this Tarmogoyf if he wants to. He can put the Thought-Knot and the token in front of the Tarmogoyf. That would make the Tarmogoyf... it's got an Exalted Trigger on it right now. Actually, can he even kill it? So 4, so 5, 6, 7. Yeah, he could have if he put the Thought-Knot and the token in front of it. He could have killed it, and he would have lost only 1 for that as well. So I think I like that line more. Dan's gonna play the Overgrown Tomb tapped and then flash back his Lingering Souls to get 2 more tokens. So Mike needs something big off the top here. I mean, Zealous Persecution is not main deck, so he won't be able to have that. There is a Gonti in his hand that he's debating if he wants to tick his Vial up or not. I think you do, because right now you can't cast Gonti, and I think one of your only hopes at this point is a card in Dan's deck, possibly. I don't know what Dan even plays that gets him out of the situation. I don't think anything, but... Okay, he decides not to go ahead and tick it up. Draws the Leonin Arbiter for the turn. So this lets him cast the Arbiter, leaving up just the Eldrazi Temple, along with a Ghost Quarter. Vial in Displacer, and have an activation available to blink the Tarmogoyf or the Blade Splicer, or even the Thought-Knot if he wants to. Dan is going to animate Shambling Vent. This is the Thought-Knot attacking here. It'll be interesting to see if Mike gets to blocks or not. I like this block. Because he only loses a Spirit and the Shambling Vent, and even if Mike has the trick of Displacer, blink, let's say, a Spirit, I mean, he can go ahead here. He can Displacer in... He can Violent Displacer and blink the Shambling Vent, and that'll just kill all 3 spirits. That's what he decides to do, which I think is a very good choice here. So yeah, there goes Yeah, Shelling Events, it's blanked. He loses 3 spirits here. I guess the right line is blocked with everything. Yeah. Yeah, that's the better block. So Mike can still go ahead and play this Arbiter if he wants to. You may as well. The 1 life isn't that big of a deal right now, and it can at least chump block the Tarmogoyf if nothing else. Okay, so Dan untaps, draws for the turn a Verdant Catacomb. So his hand right now is just 2 lands. I believe it's Windswept Heath and Verdant Catacombs. So no action to speak of, which is very unfortunate for Dan. So he's got basically what's on board to work with right now. Tarmogoyf is no longer going to be a great blocker, thanks to Displacer. It's got 1 more attack here if he really wants to, which may be his best decision. Okay, so he attacks with both. This is an attack for 6. The spirits died because they were blocking Thought-Knot Seer. So Dan set up a block of 3 spirits and a Shelling Event on a Thought-Knot Seer to kill it. However, when Mike vialed in his Displacer, he then blinked the Shelling Event, and there was basically a 3-3 in the form of 3 spirits versus the 4-4. So the Thought-Knot won that battle. Yes, like Chillith described there as well, so thank you. But yeah, I think Dan needed to put all 4 in front. He would have lost them all, but that's not the biggest deal. So there's Gonti, Lord of Luxury. Man, Eldrazi, Displacer, and Gonti? That seems pretty silly. Okay, sacrifices. Mike says you got to pay 2 for that. Dan says, okay. I'm not entirely sure why Dan is thinning his deck before this. Yeah, I'm not sure why he's fetching now instead of after Gonti resolves and uses its trigger, because he can find more lands that way. I mean, it's very minuscule, obviously, in terms of percentages, but... So we'll have to see here what Gonti gets. We'll pull Gonti up again. He is not a card you see very often, especially in Modern. Dan, in fact, is reading over the card to make sure he understands it fully as well. Now, the 3 cards at the bottom, they do go back in a random order, as the library in this case should... the bottom 3 should be shuffled in this case. So it looks like the choices are Liliana, Path to Exile, Scavenging Ooze. Probably just take Path to Exile. It answers the Goyf. And yes, Chillith, once he does get a little more mana, he can start killing these spreads off with the blink. Yes, this is a one of Gonti. So Mike wanted to take the planes, but he wouldn't be able to play it because the Gonti says cast specifically, so he cannot actually play a plane if he takes it. You have that option to take it, but you just can't do anything with it if you do. He took the Path to Exile, I've been told, which I think is also a fine choice. Dan, it doesn't matter if you give Dan more lands. Dan already has infinite mana for what his deck does. Path to Exile is a very clean answer to Tarmogoyf. And like Chillith had said as well, Chillith one that said, sorry, my apologies. Chillith said it as well. You want to blink the spirits, I think, more importantly. But and yeah, God of the Sea. blinking Gonti seems pretty insane. Just keep taking a card from his deck, always taking the best of the 4 and just going from there. Seems like a fun play. I guess it depends how you define the word fun. So Dan is, it looks like he's not blocking here. He's going to take the 7 and fall to 8. I mean, what Gonti does is a very strong effect. I think he's costed a little awkwardly for Modern, to say the least there. But yeah, it's hard to. I mean, yeah, the vial makes it very easy because there you go, there he is. But yeah, otherwise it can be rough to cast. So Dan draws for the turn a second copy of Noble Hierarch. That's not going to help him. He's going to play it. The Tarmogoyf, if he wants, can attack for 7, but then Displacer says go away. So if you're Mike, I think you just go ahead and blink this Spirit at the end of the turn. I think Dan's passing here. I think Dan's out of this game. He doesn't main deck any board wipes, so there'd be Damnation or Wrath of God or anything like that. He does have them in his sideboard, so I think we'll probably see them come in. But yeah, this game looks to be over. No, I don't either, Chillith. Dan trying to decide what he wants to do here. Okay. Okay, so he's gone ahead. He's animated the Shambling Vent. This could be an attack just to gain life, but again, the Displacer just stops all of that. Displacer does just so much work in this matchup, especially the board state we have right now. So this is an attack here for 4. Okay, he's gonna go ahead. Yeah, this works too. He says, "I'll blink Gonti again, and you don't gain any life." That one still is there. Yeah, these cards don't go away just because Gonti changed. So this second time I'm being told Mike has chosen Collective Brutality is what Mike chose this second time. So has at his disposal a Collective Brutality and a Path to Exile to cast with Gonti's help. Mike draws a second Arbiter for the turn. As well as a Tide Hollow Sculler he has in his hand right now. Mike says, I'm going to go ahead and Path your Tarmogoyf. And then I assume he's going to... He can blink one of the blockers. Is this lethal? No, he can only do 7. It's not over just yet. Oh, no, it is over. He can cast the Brutality to kill one of the blocker. Oh, no, but then there's still one blocker left. My apologies. Yeah, that won't matter. So he goes attacking with everything but Gonti. Spirit blocks Thought-Knot. Noble Hierarch blocks Displacer. Dan takes 2 and goes to 6. Yep. And this will be Dan's last turn of the game, is my guess. Scavenging Ooze gains him a bit of life, I guess. We'll have to make sure that Mike puts that path back in Dan's graveyard, because that is Dan's path to exile. Pretty important. There we go. Okay, so Dan's gonna go ahead and play the Scavenging Ooze. He's got access to 3, 1, 2. He has access to 4 green mana if he wants, so he can be at a virtual 10. So it might not be game over, but yes, he could have escalated the brutality. Yes, I forgot about the escalation part of it. I was thinking just kill a creature, but yeah, no, he can just drain and kill, and that's the 2 extra points of damage he needs to find there. Yeah, that works. This time he took an Abrupt Decay with the Gaunty, and then he Ghost Quartered away another land, the Shelling Event in particular. Draws a 3rd Leonin Arbiter. Okay, so does he still have the same line here then? So he can Brutality, get rid of the Hierarch. No, now he gets to gain life though. So I guess it wasn't Dan's last turn. I spoke too soon. So right now, Gaunty's still able to cast Abrupt Decay and Clutch of Brutality. You can decay the Ooze. We'll just gain the life still, but okay, Clutch of Brutality. He's going to escalate it once. So there's the Brutality there. Okay, he's going to escalate it twice. So he's going to go ahead, drain Dan for 2, look at his hand, and deal 2 damage to a creature. No, the path was used last turn on the Tarmogoyf. Okay, so he's going to go ahead and he's going to eat 2 creatures, gain 2 life, going back to 6. I think this is still lethal, though, if he attacks with everything. No, there's still a Shelling Event hiding down there in the lands. So he has... Yeah, I'm not sure if I like Ghost Quartering the Shelling Event last turn, because you could have... Abrupt Decayed this Ooze as well, but... Okay, so Dan gonna eat as much as he can here with the Scavenging Ooze to gain as much life as possible. I believe he's at 8. That looks to be the number. And Mike didn't attack. I guess he doesn't want to give Dan a draw if he doesn't have to. He has the Decay to kill this Ooze next turn. Dan just drew a land, it looked like, so he doesn't have anything to block with, or he doesn't have any action in hand here. If I'm not mistaken, there is still 1 Shelling Event in Dan's lands there, behind the Godless Shrine in between the Twilight Mire. Dan's going to keep eating with Scavenging Ooze to gain his life back, and he's going to attack here for 7. This is a pretty bold attack. Can you make this attack? Yeah, I mean, like, did Dan forget that displacer? Did Dan forget the displacer will just blink his one blocker if he does it this way? Gonti also has death touch, so that's fine. So. Yeah, I mean, that's also a line you can take, I guess. Yeah, like, I don't know. I don't like that attack at all. I think you need the blocker for one. And you know that displacer can just blink away your only other blocker, which is Shelly Event here. Or it gets ghost quartered and Dan just dies. Okay, sure. All right, so Mike wins game one. Oh, no, I don't. I don't know why he was playing. That's my question. I mean, this game was over when Mike began blinking Gonti and hit 3 consecutive removal spells off of it. But, you know, Dan chose to play on valiantly and fell. Yeah, blinking at Gonti is really, really silly. So sideboard players moving into here. I don't currently have the lists with me. We left them upstairs. Not a big concern. I know Dan's gonna bring in Damnation. Looks like he's bringing in Kitchen Finks and Damnation. Yeah, our spotter pointing out an impulse-like effect in Abzan seems really good when it's not your deck doing it. What kind of info did you want, Keebs Leet? I can see what I can do here for you right now, in fact. We can try it for the rest of the stream here, absolutely. Did you want like deck name, like deck info as my guess possibly, or what else would you like to see? Sure, absolutely, I can get that updated. Not a problem. Yeah, we've only been streaming for a little while here, a couple months now, maybe a few months now. So we're still getting some little kinks worked out here, but absolutely, if anyone ever has suggestions, feel free to let us know. There we go. We have Mike on Eldrazi and Taxes, Dan on Abzan. To Blondie, I don't know if I can do that one. That one seems a little rough. The tournament records we can look into doing. I'm not going to do it right now. These guys are 2-2. This is our final round. The top 4 is already locked for this tournament. So these guys are just playing just for fun and to get a good match of Modern on camera for us here for you guys before we go into our top four. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, Preordain would be great. Why would you ban Batterskull? That's half the fun of Stoneforge Mystic. If you don't have Batterskull, what else do you get? You can't get Jeet. Jeet's banned. Or Jite. Can't. I mean, you want to get a sword? That's not fun. All right, so players drawing their opening 7 here for game 2. Dan will have the play as he is down a game. All right, so it looks like Dan took a mulligan here. The 6 he's looking at looks to be Swamp, Shambling Events, Path to Exile, Lingering Souls, I think Murderous Cut, and I'm not sure the last card. Might be Kitchen. Yeah, it's Kitchen Finks. And no, actually, that's not Murderous Cut, it's Tassiger, the Golden Fang. Okay. Mike has a very key turn 1 Ether Vial. Dan, nothing on turn 2. I don't believe he's found a third. He found a second copy of Path to Exile. So he does have lots of removal to work with here. He finds a Marsh Flats right on time, so that's a good draw there. The Vial is on 1. There is no 1-drop threat in Mike's deck. So that's not going to come up. Dan goes ahead, sacrifices the Marsh Flats, gets a Overgrown Tomb, so he falls to 17. Has all his colors now. He was missing green mana up till this point. Probably, yeah, there's the Kitchen Finks. So he's going to go back up to 19 thanks to Kitchen Finks. There he is, the oof. Yeah, I don't think the Batterskull in Modern is all that oppressive. It is good, but I don't think it's backbreaking. Thought-Knot Seer here is going to take... I'm not sure. You can take... You can take one of the paths. I mean, this Thought-Knot Seer is not going to live. The second Path to Exile, even if he takes the first, is going to get rid of it. Tassiger is a possibility. Now, if Dan, for some reason, decides to wait on this Path to Exile, Mike will have a Vial on 3 next turn with a copy of Flicker Wisp in his hand. He took the Lingering Souls. Instead... okay, Dan is going to wait on this path to Exile. Oh, but Mike missed his Aether Vial trigger. That is very unfortunate, as that Flicker Wisp can no longer protect this Thought-Knot Seer. He would still have to draw the card from the Thought-Knot, of course, but it would be able to strip his hand again, which is the important thing. So The Wasteland Strangler in Mike's hand, you do not want to play right now. You don't want to give him back Lingering Souls. Dan sitting with Path, Tassiger in hand still. Mike unfortunately got a little hasty there. I mean, if he wants the Violon too, maybe he doesn't want there, but I don't think he does. His hand right now is Displacer, Flicker Wisp, Plains, Wasteland Strangler. So 4 3-drops and a land. Or is there no, there's not even a Plains, is there? I'm not even sure if there is. All right, there's the Path to Exile. That gets rid of the Thought-Knots here. Dan draws a card thanks to that. Looks like he drew Collective Brutality. Dan's going to gain 2 more life thanks to this Kitchen Finks dying and returning. Thanks to its Persist ability. So Dan is going to go up to 21. The Wasteland Strangler is, of course, dead. Yeah, Death and Tax's goal is not to kill you really fast. It's to make it so you'll never kill them the rest of the game. So I think it's a different way to approach the Modern. Whereas, yeah, most decks or a lot of decks are just kind of like the turn 3 you're dead deck, but this one doesn't quite do that. Now I'm curious if Wasteland, is it a May? Yeah, it is May. So he does go ahead and give Dan back Lingering Souls in the graveyard, which is interesting. Dan draws a Tarmogoyf for the turn, which is pretty good. How big is that Goyf? Creature, sorcery, instant land. 4, 5. Dan thinking over wants to do here. He does have access to Collective Brutality if he wishes. May want to discard Tarmogoyf possibly. I don't think so. I mean, right now it just beats Mike's biggest creature, which is a Thought-Knots here. So here we see Brutality. It looks like it's just going to do 2 damage to Wasteland Strangler. Nope, I'm wrong. He's just looking at his hand. So yeah, Mike's hand is 4 creatures, 2 Displacers, 2 Flicker Wisps. And Mike, I think, pointing out, oops, I missed my Aether Vial. Which was a kind of a big problem for this hand. I agree that the combination of cards, Talric, is very, very strong, and I agree that it can lead to some uninteractive games or situations. But I think Batterskull itself is not that scary of a card anymore, especially as someone pointed out, Kolaghan's Command answers just both halves of that nicely. I'm not saying it's right to unban Stonefortress so you can find the Batterskull. By no means am I saying that. I'm just saying that Batterskull is not the force that it was when it was in Standard. Nowhere close. I can't imagine. So Dan decides to post combat play the Tarmogoyf. Mike remembers his Vial trigger, casts an Eldrazi Displacer. Another Kitchen Finks drawn for Dan here, so some more life gain. Okay, so this is going to be Eldrazi Displacer, blink your Tarmogoyf. Dan's going to go ahead and flashback Lingering Souls as well. He does have Path to Exile at the ready. He can also, if he wants, he can cast Tassiger. I mean, I agree that, yes, it's a dice to do argument, sure. And again, I'm not trying to say by any means that you should do that. I just don't think it would be that backbreaking to Modern. So there is Tasigur. Mike at the end of turn is going to Violin Flicker Wisp, and he's going to just eat a spirit. Yeah, I mean, the fact that Mike has 6 mana available thanks to those 2 temples for the Displacer, this Tasigur and Tarmogoyf are not doing anything. And Tarmogoyf is also now a 1/2, which is even more embarrassing. No, you're not coming off aggressive at all. Not at all. I'll be honest, usually I'm entirely wrong about card analysis, so yeah, Bear with 2 guns. Cody, who we actually have in our top 4, is the one who made those tokens for Dan. He he custom made those for him. All right, so here's an attack for 3 in the air with the Flicker Wisp. Displacer looks to have blinked the second token, and Mike went ahead after playing an Arbiter to Ghost Quarter away Dan's only white source in that channeling event. I do my best, KEMTG, I do my best. No, because the blink happens instantaneously, God of the Sea. So it all happens at once. It doesn't actually stay away for a while. A trick that he can do is he can Flicker Wisp the Tasigur while it's exiled under Flickers, because it takes till end of turn to come back. He can then put it into the graveyard with a Wasteland Strangler. So there is a way to kind of do that interaction, but not with the Displacer on its own. So another Displacer being vialed in at the end of turn for Mike here. A real concern now as well for Dan is this clock of 7.5 minutes. His deck doesn't win fast, as we can see here, and he's also behind the gun right now. I mean, Mike has board control just everywhere. Unban Jace. I don't, maybe. So Dan, I believe, drew Anafenza. No, he drew Abrupt Decay. Kitchen Finks is attacking here for 3. Now that's one that you don't really want to displace with the Eldrazi there. That's not so great. So an attack here with everything. So he's coming in for 269 total. Okay, interesting. Displacer can take care of 2 of these threats, namely Tarmogoyf and Tasigur. He can just take 3, and he can crack back for 3, 6, 9, 12, 14. He can Vial and Flicker Wisp and make it 17 lethal. That doesn't seem like a bad play. So, displacer activation. Where did Dan's land go? How do you flicker a land? Displacer can't flick the. Oh, he blinked. Okay, sorry. Okay, I get it now. So yes, he displaced the flicker wisp, which blinked the land till end of turn, which means that he can also now blink this wasteland strangler, give him back that land that's currently should be in play, and then throw it in his graveyard instead, and kill off the. Can he kill Tarmogoyf here? I think so. Yeah. Okay. So it looks like he's taking 5 from this attack. Chillo, you should talk to our mod CMGG about how much he builds decks. If you think that you have a problem. Yeah, the Eldrazi here they're really taking Dan down here. So Dan has the option if he wants, if I'm not mistaken, to pay 2 life to have this come back into play. The Tassiger was blinked by Displacers. That's tapped no matter what. So there is an Abrupt Decay available for Dan, so he's not going to die this turn. I mean, there's not lethal on board either, to be fair. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 14 on board, so he is still 3 points short. This Abrupt Decay is not good though. It just doesn't kill anything. It'll basically fog 3 points of damage if he wants it to. He does not want it to. He says, okay, I'll take 14. I'll go to 3. So Dan needs to draw in one draw step both Damnation and a land to play it. I don't like Dan's chances of drawing 2 cards with one draw. I think this is an end step activation of Aether Vial. Flicker Wisp says at the beginning of the next end step, bring it back to play. So if he's doing this in his end step, that means that the next end step is Dan's. So Dan will basically be down a permanent until his next end step, and he will not have access, I'm assuming, to a land. I mean, I think if I'm Mike here, I just blink my own Flicker Wisps twice as well and eat all of Dan's lands for the next turn and make Dan figure out how to die. So, sure, there goes the blink land. I guess he wants to hold up the mana to blink the creature because there is 9 on board. So I guess that's fair too. Yeah, he can blink out the lands here for sure. Tilly the Shark. That was my first thought, but there is potential for 9 damage on board if he doesn't have any blockers available. Dan is able to Abrupt Decay right now. He is floating the mana. Dan thinking hard what he wants to do here. I don't know if he... We're going to have time in the round called pretty soon here, so this is going to... this may end in a draw. I don't think it will because I think Mike just has the ability to end this game. So Dan is going to attempt to abrupt decay one of Mike's Eldrazi Displacers at the end of Mike's turn. However, Mike has the ability to blink this Displacer with his other Displacer, which he will do. I believe that is time in the round right there, if I'm not mistaken, unless my clock down here is a little bit off. My spotter can let me know if that is the case. Fatal Push is a great looking card. I don't think anyone's debating that. So here Dan has drawn a copy of Slaughter Pact. I don't think that's going to matter. This is indeed turns. The die at the bottom there represents turn 1. Okay, here comes the attack from Dan. So Innie comes for 9 in this case, thanks to the Goyf being grown by the Abrupt Decay. No, he still had 3 mana, right? Yeah, so I was going to say Dan had lethal attackers, but there was both a blocker and an activation of Displacer available to avoid that. I mean, Dan could have Slaughter Pacted the Flicker Wisp, which Dan could have in response even just blinked the Flicker Wisp, or exile one of the creatures, and yeah, it wouldn't have mattered. So Mike falls to 7, taking 3 there. This is the end of the game here. Dan's just, once he passes the turn, he's just dead. Yep, he gets the Overgrown Tomb back from the Flicker Wisp trigger. This is turn 2. Mike draws and just goes to combat, I assume, and says, "You're dead. Good game." Assuming he doesn't attack with just a 3 power creature and attacks with more than that, this should be over. Yep, he got it. Okay. So congratulations to Mike. He finishes our day 3-2.